Hey guys, Sarah here, welcome back. Saturday morning, bright and early, finally getting around to swatching the rest of the ink swap pickups from the March Melbourne Pen Posse. It's definitely going to have to go over 2 pages, so I have split it. I have 5 Robert Oster inks, so I've just put them to the side, and then I've got these ones, which I'll do in no particular order. I did the Van Diemen's as a standalone video because there were a bunch of those. So these are then a mix of some from that pen swap and then with someone else just on the day. You know, people just bring old, not old, but bring samples they don't want anymore, and you can look through each other's things, etc. Oh, I've gone for a different swatch style, and I know why. I can show you in a second, but that's all good. So starting off with a Birmingham Pen Company ink. Maybe I'll end up needing more room then. Birmingham. There's another eye there. And this is Washed Lavender. I haven't seen the differences, but this is the old formula of Washed Lavender. So I'm just going to write in brackets here, old, and get all my hand oils over the rest of the page. Well, there you go. 2 minutes in, and I've failed at my trying to say less in the videos. I don't know, is that an Aussie thing that's saying lots? Who knows? The 2 ones with the red caps, I did look it up because they don't have the brand name, but I looked it up. So these are both Diemen. I'm feeling excited this morning, which feels nice because it's been a really hard week. But my partner's been overseas for just over a week, and she landed back in Melbourne at like 6 o'clock this morning. And I think she's just about to be at her car to start her drive home. This one here is Diemen Walnut. And I've had lots of family like health stuff this week and some really tricky middle management work stuff, which has just been like really interesting to manage. And I'm just looking forward. I'm looking forward to being able to see her. And I am not, if you knew me in real life, as my kids would say, for real life, I'm not someone who comes across as like an overly like affectionate person, but oh my Lord, your girl, she needs a hug, and I am just looking forward to we're just gonna have a lazy day and just hang out, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So I haven't really spoken about the inks. I do like this. As I said, I haven't seen what the new Washed Lavender looks like, but this, I love this color. It felt nice coming off the nib. Really interested to see how that dries down if it's not too light. The walnut, as I still am, I think I feel when it comes to different colors, brown, I would still consider myself a novice in, and I don't know if that's one that I'm overly drawn to. This is Fireside Sun or Sunny, but it's got, does it have 2 N's? No, Fireside Snug. I am loving the ambers more. I think I've spoken about the last couple of videos, really, really loving Diemen Cherry Sunburst at the moment, like cannot get enough of it. I wonder if I can reach without bumping. Oh, can she do it? So, I don't think she has a YouTube. She has an Instagram. If you know what's her Instagram handle? Illegal Eileen. Pretty well known in the Melbourne Pen Posse group. Has an incredible sailor collection. And she has the most beautiful ink swatching book. She's a graphic designer by trade, so her creativity, I guess, is a little bit more natural, or comes to her more naturally than someone like me. But she has the most beautiful ink swatching book, and I reckon I spent close to half an hour looking at it at the Pen Posse, and I've really wanted to find something. This is the Small Set Stationery Studio B6 Tomoe River Chunky Monkey, 190 pages. It's an Aussie Etsy store, and I reckon probably the only affordable Aussie store that I found thus far on Etsy. Eleanor from YouTube and Discord recommended this brand to me, and I just wanted to do something special with this book. And then when I was looking at Eileen's swatch book, that's what I've decided. So what I've kind of done, and I'll put an index in there, but I'm doing it in color group, but leaving myself pages to fill it in over time, so I can get 11 swatches per. What Eileen has, which is incredible, is she on the left-hand side of the page has 6 or 7 paper type cutouts, including chromatography. So for each ink swatch, you can then see it on Bank, on this, on Midori, on da-da-da, and then a chromatography. And it's really, really beautiful. I haven't done all of it yet, and what I need to decide, but see that I'm like leaving some pages to then fill in over time. There's 2 things I need to decide. The first one is 4 inks that really can fit into 2 categories. For example, maybe like Prima Donna. Do I then double that up in burgundy? I'm leaning towards yes, but I've basically put those inks aside to then see. So we're getting into pinks, and then burgundies. Like that one maybe could go into the purple. And then, you know, that's, for me, like these are burgundy, but then maybe that one should have been in purple. But I'm not ripping out pages. It's not going to be absolutely perfect, but I'm slowly making my way through. Just been doing this at night. Where did I get up to last night? I started, well, this is why I thought about it. I started browns. That's why I thought about it after walnut. And then this one actually should, you know, a couple of these should probably go into other colors. So do I double up or do I just leave it? So I'm up to, yeah, brown, but again, maybe that one was wrong. From brown, I'm going into I'm going to do some light browns, then olive green, then greens, and then finish with blue. But then I also thought at like, for the last chunk, that's probably going to end up being 2/3. And for the last chunk, because I do have an index, do I then, pardon me, do I do things like all the Diemen ink vents that I have, like a catalogue, I guess, of series as well, or Kitty Inkpot series, or, you know, Pen BBS, the ones in the 500 range, things like that. And then that can then, the list for that is endless as well, right? Because I could also, like, I like when I've done things like for Valentine's Day, and I picked out inks that had the name Rose in it, and do I actually do, you know, leave 11, even if I did 2 pages of any inks that have the name Rose or the name Wine? I'm leaning towards yes, but it's just a slow project. I had done something on like some A5 paper in like a binder, but I don't actually like it as much, and that's brand. So yeah, that's just something I've been working on, but that's probably why muscle memory, I just started swatching like this. This ink here, Freedom Park Rose, speaking of, is an ink I have wanted to try for so long, and then someone at the Pen Posse had it. She was like, yeah, take it. And then I actually had, I think I randomly had 2 vials of Pen BBS June Pearl, and she was like, oh, I just finished my bottle. I was like, great, take it. I'm not going to use it. Go for it. This ink, I mean, just that dark burgundy purple, I've wanted to try for so long. I have been a little bit hesitant with Troublemaker because some of them I've had have been a bit dry, but I don't know, coming off the nib, that felt really great. I have 2 Andurilium inks here. I've never tried Andurilium before. The only stockist in Australia is so-and-so. This is American Goldfish Yellow. Not really someone who uses yellow ink, but let's give it a go. Yeah, I just feel like it's going to be too light, but could be really great for like mixing inks or any kind of artworky things. These colors, like really light yellow and light orange, is actually how I discovered as a wee one that I needed glasses. I've been wearing glasses forever. How does one spell Andurilium? Let's use it off here. Ooh. Andur. I was quite a good student. I started wearing glasses in year 4, which is your 9 turning 10. And there was one class, oops, the eyes there, see, I can't even see it, that I would just basically always misbehave in, which was music. And basically what what my teachers and my parents figured out is I guess at some point I was asked, and I was like, well, yeah, like I talk to my friends because like she stands at the board and it's like she's like at the whiteboard and it's like she's pretending to write, but she's not doing anything. So like, why do I need to listen? Because in music class, she would use mainly like really light colored whiteboard markers, so yellows and oranges, and I could not see them. Whereas in all the other classes, they would use, I guess, black and blue. And that's kind of how we worked it out. And so then they just basically were like, okay, why don't you sit at the front? And I could start to see slight bits of what she was writing. And then turned out I was short-sighted. And then how old was I? 9 or 10. I reckon every time I got my eyes checked until I was 23, I want to say, they were getting worse. I'm pretty short-sighted. I have astigmatism in one. And at one point, the optometrist said to me, yeah, like as much as you think you finish puberty when you're like 18, 19, your body actually doesn't finish puberty until your early 20s. And usually what happens is it'll keep getting worse. And then in your mid-20s, it will settle. And then actually sometimes can even then get a touch better. And that is exactly what happened. When I was like 25, I was able to lessen my prescription ever so slightly. But there is a tangent that absolutely no one needed. So this is Diemen and a collaboration with Muse Pens. And I actually had no idea they even did that. I'd never heard of this ink before. Lion Rock. Looking at Freedom Park Rose, I didn't realize the sheen was so heavy on it, which actually makes me like it a little bit less. It's got this green sheen drying through. I don't know, that's a little bit disappointing for me. Thus far, 6 in, these 2 here would be my favorite, the Washed Lavender and the Fireside Snug. I feel like the Lion Rock is just like a darker version of Walnut, obviously wait and see how it is when it dries up. Dries up is definitely the wrong. You know what I mean. Anyway, this is the issue when I start filming before my meds have fully kicked in, but that's okay. Just speak a little bit faster. I covered this up here because I tried to film something the other day and I wanted to, I'll show it after when I do the Robert Oster ones. I've been trying to see if I can do something with like using like negative space. Because I have an idea for like an ink swatching series that I want to do. What's this one called? Green Kingfisher Green. I feel like I've seen this swatched on Simone's. This was definitely one I wanted to try. Green Kingfisher Green. We'll see if there's a bit of a break or not. The last one, like, okay, before I go to this, I don't know if this is really judgmental of me, but I don't like that it's got the word green in it twice. Andrillium Green Kingfisher Green. And I'm sure it's called a Green Kingfisher. But the title of that doesn't work in my brain. So I'm going to not judge a book by its cover. Putting the two next to each other, this is a Fan Yan Tan. I can't pronounce the first word, but I'll call it Snowbud Tea. And again, just another notch in the evidence book of loving the browner, swampy leaning greens versus your Royal Regal Forest. And these two next to each other absolutely just speaks for me to that. Ooh, Snow Bud. So that is page 1. My little nib was getting a little bit scratchy there, so I'll need to check that out. I can come back to them when they're dry and then I'll do the 5 Robert Oster. But this one, actually, Lucky Last, is potentially my favourite. I do quite like this Diemen Fireside Snug and the Birmingham. And now what's kind of cool is I can like look at this and, well, when it's finished at least, look at like those other amber ones. Listen to that crunch of that paper. How beautiful is that? To kind of see how similar it is to other amber leaning inks I have. It's kind of reminding me of Toucan Sienna here. That one there a little bit. That would be a little bit lighter. And again, maybe a lighter version of Ginger Chicken. So I don't have anything that is super duper close, which is a good thing. But there we go. I'll bring it up close so you can see them while they're wet. And then when we do our Robert Oster ones, we can have a look at them dry. I really didn't know that one had so much sheen. I'm just not a sheeny person. But there you go. So all of these had never tried, never even written with a pen, nothing. Andrillium I'd never swatched before, and I had no idea that Diemen had done a collab with Muse pens, and there is some sheen popping up there too. So I'll see how long it takes to dry, and then we can look at them dry and then do the 5 Robert Oster BRB. Right. The Lion Rock is taking forever to dry, but I'm getting impatient. So this is what they look like dry. Really excited about this. I reckon it's definitely dark enough in a fine but wet pen like a TWSBI or one of my Asvines. I think that would be really lovely. And yep, these two, and then probably this one down here, probably my favorite. I almost want to call that like a green black. I haven't swatched my greens in this guy yet, but there's like, there's some undertones of like this is going to sound really bizarre. It's a green ink, but I feel like it's a green mixed with a blue black or a blue gray. I don't know if you can see like the little hints of like a, I can't even think of something that, there you go, there's my list of colors. Trying to think, I really can't think of anything. Maybe juniper, a little bit similar, but I'm going to put a handy piece of paper towel here just for that last bit of the line rock. There's that sheen in the Freedom Park Rose coming through. And the walnut's dried a little bit warmer, which I like, but this, I'm not gonna, I won't be able to see it, so I will take that back to the Pen Posse. Oh, she's coming out with accents today. Whoa, soz. All right, did I, ooh. Let's get myself sorted here. I also think, timing-wise, I reckon I'm going to be able to finish this swatch book halfway through the year, which would be really nice. Robert Oster, and just say Melbourne Pen Posse. March is with a R, not a P for those playing at home. Robert Oster just posted on the Aussie Facebook page that they're going to do, they kind of have to, which is fair enough, do a price increase by a couple of dollars. They held off, I think, as long as they could, but with everyone, price is just, well, cost of living and everything else is just out of control. So they posted that. Definitely kind of appreciate. I only have 5, so maybe I do like this. Appreciated, you know, I guess the heads up. Oh, I love this. I have swatched these once before, and I'll show you when I was trying to do this negative space thing, but I was so like upset with how it was going and I was in such a bad mood. I didn't really take in time to appreciate the ink. That is gorgeous. That's just, oh, that's like the perfect color for me. So this is Poison Wine. Let's just fix that up a little bit. Oh, gorge. I love that. Burgundy, deep, rich, velvety, all the words and things that I love to use. I think, what do we do? Why don't we do this one next? I don't think I've even ever seen a swatch of this. This is Melbourne Coffee. Now, I believe, I don't know if it's like an exclusive, but bookbinders in the Melbourne CBD, they have like a token system. You can't do it in store, but what do they call them? Maybe they call them drops, pardon me. And if you order things online at different times, they'll be like, if you do, I think it's if you ordered 5 Robert Oster ink bottles online and then added the drop token, you then were given a bottle of this Melbourne coffee. I feel like that was maybe in February. This feels like a very Melbourne. Can I not spell Melbourne? Oh my God. Melbourne is what that says. Melbourne is how it's spelled. Pronounced. Oh my God. Melbourne. What just happened? That's all good. So, are you smarter than a 5th grader? Can you spell Melbourne? Can you spell coffee? For those playing at home, that says Melbourne, that says coffee. See, when I like thinking about browns, I can almost straight away see the orangey amber coming through, and straight away I'm just gonna like that more than that type of brown. But I'm not saying that that's cool, like a cooler tone, but there's just something in that, the amber leaning browns, that I definitely like more. What I was saying before I forgot how to spell, was that ink felt really, really wet coming off this nib. And I know that this is a dip nib and it's not a completely true representation, but because I always use this nib on this paper, I definitely am learning how inks feel on it. And you can see it kind of globbing a bit, definitely feeling wetter. Next up, and just looking at the vial, this is going to be another, oh, I dipped first, I meant to do this. Another one that I like, I think this is one I requested when I looked at I'm just not saying their name because I didn't specifically ask them, the person I did the ink swap with the Van Diemens. I also chose the Birmingham Wash Lavender and this Robert Oster from memory, or maybe those two. And this is Cherry Blossom. And then she put Melbourne Coffee in there, I think. Blossom, that's beautiful. My tummy rumbling there. I wonder, even on this paper, I reckon that Melbourne Coffee might feather, which is very rare on this paper. Thus far in that other book that I'm doing, I think only one ink so far went a bit bonkers, which was the Slight Snow. And it's a really specific type of feathering like that, and the only other ink I've seen do that type of weird feathering on Tomoe River was Monteverde Mango Mousse, the only other one. That is gorgeous. Look at that beautiful pink. Those three together actually look quite nice. The last two are from the Sinners series that Robert Oster did. So I've got Sinner's Heart and Sinner's Weed. Ooh, look at that. Sometimes when I can't sleep and I doom, it's not really doom scroll, I doom watch on YouTube. And of late it's been, well, like pimple popping videos, but I won't click into it. I'll just kind of keep it on the main screen so I can listen to a podcast in the background. Or like storage unit, Sinners. You know, when people buy abandoned storage units at auction and then they go through them. Or Pokemon, like ripping and collecting. Have no interest in Pokemon, but I'm using like car collecting cards to kind of help my son learn to toilet train, the things you do. But I think the reason I like the Pokemon ones are just probably the dopamine hit. Like they get so excited. And I've always wondered, like, imagine like if you almost did like pulling like swatch cards for like a, oh, what just beeped? You know, when they like pull packs, like imagine if you like pulled swatch cards for a currently inked. Oh my God, we got a limited edition. Oh my God, we got Dark Lilac. That could kind of be fun. Tell me if you want me to do that. I'll try and get this video out soon if you want me to do that for May. I was swatching all of them on the Wearingle swatch cards, but it looks so different to any of the paper I use, so I don't have all of them. I guess we could almost just do like a lucky dip from there. Do it that way maybe. Anyway, if you think that would be fun, do I do it as like, I wonder if I could do it as a live. So last but not least is Sinners. I think that could kind of be fun. Whoa, that is my stomach rumbling. I wonder if that got through. Sinner's Weed. Look at that Sinner's Heart. Oh my goodness. I'm happy that just when I did that video the other day and I was like so sad and hating life, and then I've swatched especially these ones and I'm like, oh, I do really love this. This actually does make me excited. Look at these 5 Robert Oster inks. Every one of them to me is absolutely beautiful, even the green. So Poison Wine in that burgundy world, that's just gorgeous. Flip through to this guy. I never remember if it's the Diemen Claret or the Robert Oster. One of them's like a super real pink and one of them's, oh, it is the Robert Oster, but it's actually more purple. It's that third one down there. I thought maybe it would be similar, but it's not. But if you like Pen BBS, which I know can be hard to get, the Poison Wine could be a good alternative. Actually quite similar to Australian Shiraz. Obviously, I need to wait for that to dry, but that there is Shiraz. The Shiraz has quite a nice, like, super dark brown pooling, which I wonder will come through here. So really quite similar to that one there, which I think is fine. And then, actually, that's lined up quite nicely. Diemen Merlot, quite similar to Sinner's Heart. Those two to me are just gorgeous. Melbourne Coffee, I don't know if I have Forgotten Nice Coffee swatched yet. It'll definitely be lighter, the Esterbrook Coffee Monsters Co. But just that kind of shading that's going on in there has kind of made me think of that. If I know where my browns are. A little bit wrong there. That's way too light for what I was thinking. Yes, I don't really have a brown like that. And that beautiful, I mean, this here, I want to bring that up close. Look at Sinner's Heart. That is, am I going to like Sinner's Heart more than Brown Pink from KWZ? Am I going to like it more than that? What do I do if that's the case? That's mind-boggling if I do. There's that Shiraz in a kind of bigger swatch. I do have a small bottle of the Shion Geo, so maybe I probably don't need a bottle of Sinner's Heart. I need to get through that first. I just want to get to my, they're not going to be the same, but I want to get to my brown pink to be like, oh my God, do I like this more? That would be, I wonder, did that, see, so it didn't do the weird feathering on this one. It was on the Tomoe River pad that feathering of Mango Mousse went weird. There you go. There's brown pink. Oh, it's so similar. I can't get a bottle. But there you go. Beautiful 5 Robert Oster inks. I think I like all of those. Well, I definitely will use all of those more than here, but those two and this one down here and those 5 absolutely gorgeous inks. And, you know, before when I was like, oh, I prefer like the muddy greens versus the foresty regal, but then there has been this like niche of dark to medium, but saturated greens like Melbourne Tram Green that I have been really liking. And Sinner's Weed, I feel, reminds me or sits in that category as well. So there we go. I would love to know if you have a favorite. Let's go across the two. Oh, I'll show you this. This is when I did my grumpy video that I'm not posting. I'm just interested, yeah, in the negative space idea. I have a small B6 notebook and I've been thinking a lot about, we talk about inks in like color categories and things like that, but then also in feelings or vibes. And I would love to do like a small booklet kind of based on the alphabet. So like A could be for antique, for example, B for bloom. And I've been kind of working away just in like a brain dump notebook of inks and things like that. It would be a big project, and whether I do 1 or 2 letters a week, whatever it could be. But then for like the title letter, if I did that as like a negative space type thing, and then I was like, well, then could I do the swatches? But I like the idea of the negative space, but I just, I couldn't get the washi to, it wasn't working, and then my spacing wasn't right. Oh, wind. I have one more Robert Oster. Wind. Where is it? Well, I don't have space. There you go. That's what Robert Oster wind looks like, which is actually really beautiful. Maybe I'll remember that if I pick up any swatches at the April Pen Posse, I'll include that in there. So yeah, lots of little ideas percolating in the back of my head. So I guess it's nice to know when I'm not feeling creative in terms of putting my voice on camera, I am still finding ways to enjoy this hobby in other ways. I also officially have 7 pilot pens. So I kind of wanted to do like a week of pilot, probably ink them all up in the Shion Geo. And I kind of, look, will I ever hit 1,000 subscribers? Probably not. But if I did, I'd love to do a giveaway. And I almost want to do a giveaway, or even 2. And one of them, kind of, not that I'd be able to actually make sure this happens, or maybe I can, but for someone kind of getting into the hobby, like the Pilot Explorer is one of the pens, and it's not one I see a lot, and I actually think it's a fantastic starter pen. So yeah, I'm thinking about that, like if I could put a giveaway together when I hit 1,000 subscribers, and one would be for really someone coming into the hobby, and put some, like not some really cheap AliExpress, but some like what I think would be a great little starter collection with some ink and some pens, and then maybe another giveaway of like a nice pen or a vintage, I don't know, thinking about it, maybe a vintage pen for some, if you like the hobby but you haven't entered into vintage pens. And I think, if I end up doing 2 and shipping, I don't know, let's say it's like $20, $30 international, like for me to spend between $50 and $100 to give back, I think could be really awesome. Maybe I'll try and make a pen case as well. So anyway, that's been in the back of my head. So I might try and film that pilot series, but maybe post it when I get a little bit closer up. I mean, my subs aren't really moving, but if I ever get to like a milestone, they're my 2 ideas of how I can give back. So lots of ideas in the background. This is how much of this swatch book I've got to go. Let's see if it can get me to June. I like the parameter of 6 months, 1 notebook. That just feels nice. As always, a very long-winded outro. Look, the lime rock has fully dried now, and it is just all sheen. I want to see the ink color underneath, All right, finish up, Sarah. Finish up. You know how in your videos you can see like the most watched or whatever? It's never the end bit. But oh no, that's okay because I like rambling. In conclusion, if I go back to here, so I did an ink swap with someone. There were some really cool Van Diemens and then some other assortment. And then we finished off this video with, wow, I actually love all of them. 5 awesome Robert Oster inks. So hit like and subscribe for me. Don't have as much confidence as all those Pokemon people. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. But if you do like the ideas of like a lucky dip or like a pull for a currently inked, let me know. And if you want me to get working on that pilot pen video series, tell me as well, and I can rejig and make that a priority. As always, thank you so much for sticking around, and if you've sticked around in this outro, appreciate it, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.